For the third straight year, we got a number 1 versus number 2 matchup in high school football. Last week saw top-ranked Mater Dei beat St. Francis out of Baltimore in a Trinity League versus the USA Showcase. And as you might expect, the Monarchs stayed at number 1 after that result. Let's see how far the Panthers fell. Well, they went from being in the top 5 to being at number 5, 2 to 5, moving down 3 spots. The biggest mover here into the top 10, Katy out of Texas, 1 spot up. They're a perfect 3-0. Beat Águilas Blancas out of Mexico City. Their next game against Clear Springs this weekend. All right, let's welcome in Mr. Everything, Zack Poff, to CBS Sports HQ. A quick reaction here on Mater Dei. They continue to roll. What stood out to you last weekend?
Bryce Young. He showed why he's a 5-star quarterback, and he's been doing it with his arm all season, and he had to do it with his legs this time around against a defense loaded with future guys that are going to be playing in the SEC and the Big Ten. Bryce Young really stood out to me, and it's pretty obvious that Mater Dei is the hottest team in high school football right now for sure. All
right, they're going to have, of course, some competition from their league mates right there and other schools there, but for now, still number 1 at the top in your eyes. Time to get into a few games, the top 25 preview, and for our guy, Zack Poff, get your Poff corn ready. Number 11, Eastside Catholic out of Washington against Pinnacle out of Arizona. And for those that know, Pinnacle, that is Spencer Rattler's school, QB1. Tell us a little more about it.
Yeah, and we saw last year in QB1, Spencer Rattler didn't finish the season, and we got to see J.D. Johnson come in. And he played pretty well at the quarterback position. Now it's his team as a senior 2020 Michigan commit. He's been lighting up defenses to start the year. Pinnacle's 3-0. They're one of the best teams in Arizona, but they got a big-time test up in the Pacific Northwest in Washington against number 11 Eastside Catholic. And when you talk about future college stars, Eastside Catholic's loaded with them. They got G. Scott Jr., one of the best receivers, a 2020 Ohio State commit. They got Sam Adams in the backfield. He's a 2020 Washington commit. And then on the defensive line, they're loaded with guys, but their number 1 dog is JT Tuimolau. He's a top 5 player in the class of 2021. This team is loaded. You see DJ Rogers there and Aiden Hector, too, one of the best tight ends and the best corners, too. So it's a big game for Eastside Catholic, too, because this might be one of the toughest games, at least, they're going to have on their schedule. I like Eastside Catholic in this one. I think they just got a little too much talent. But don't be surprised if J.D. Johnson puts on a show for Pinnacle.
No doubt. Root for that guy, by the way. No disrespect to Spencer Rattler, but the way that thing played out in QB1, couldn't help but back up that guy right there. All right, moving on. Number 25, St. Ignatius out of Ohio at DeMatha out of Maryland. How do you see this one playing out? Some of the keys to the game for you.
This is a tough game, man. This is a 50-50 in my eyes, but I think St. Ignatius is going to find a way to get it done. They got a bunch of momentum. They snapped Archbishop Hoban's 31-game winning streak last week, and they were one of 4 new teams to jump into the top 25 rankings. They're tough, man. They got a legendary head coach, Chuck Kyle. He's been there for nearly 40 years. He's led them to an Ohio record, 11 state titles in football, but they haven't won one since 2011. And the Division I in Ohio is going to be big time this year, but St. Ignatius will be on the short list of teams that will compete for a state title. And I don't know, I just see them riding that momentum from last week's win against Archbishop Hoban. I think they're going to find a way to get it done. DeMatha, though, they're big time out in the DMV area. Obviously, the Stags are one of the most talented teams. Big time offensive line. Then you got Marshawn Lloyd, a 5-star running back, 2020 South Carolina commit, carrying the rock. So they're definitely going to have a chance to win. No matter what, who wins this game is going to be ranked in the top 25 next week.
All right, a lot on the line in that one. St. Ignatius and DeMatha. You do like St. Ignatius in that one. And going back over to the West Coast, St. John Bosco, they've got to travel 2,500 miles to Hawaii taking on Mililani. What do you see in this game? What excites you about this game?
First of all, there's no reason to complain if you have to travel that long if you're at least going to the Aloha State. Listen, St. John Bosco's number 2 in the country. Mililani's number 2 in the state of Hawaii. There's a big difference right there. St. John Bosco is loaded with talent. DJ Uiagalelei, straight boss at the quarterback position. How lucky is Clemson, man? They get Trevor Lawrence, and then up next they're going to get DJ. He's got a bunch of dudes to get the rock to. Chris Hudson's a stud. Check out our Instagram. He's running that live all throughout the week in Hawaii. Then you got Logan Loya, one of the best possession receivers in the country. And then Bo Collins, who should be a 5-star pretty soon in the class of 2021. He's a big-time wide receiver, loaded on defense with Court Williams. But if who knows? Mililani's a very, very tough team. So if St. John Bosco overlooks them, this one could be closer than people think. I like Bosco big, though.
All right, DJ Uwe Owangalele. Certainly talked a lot about him last year. Got about a minute left to go. Let me get your thoughts. I'm curious here, Zach. So obviously we're getting to the calendar where most teams will start league play again. So we're getting the last taste of these sort of state versus state matchups, region versus region matchups. Just kind of give me in about a minute's worth of time just some of the things that kind of stood out to you from a national perspective.
The thing that I liked was that we finally got to see a Texas team play a big-time national contender, and that was last week with Duncanville, who's number 4 in the top 25 with Jaquindon Jackson. And they beat a very talented St. John's team 35-14. I'm loving seeing these national games more and more. It makes my job easier, or anyone that is doing rankings in high school football, because we're able to see the top teams play each other. But I will say this, Trinity League proved they are the best league in America. They went 3-0 in the Trinity League versus USA Showcase, and Mater Dei really put the statement down in that 34-18 win against number 2 St. Francis Academy. Trinity League's the best. October 25th, remember the date. That's when Bosco and Mater Dei play. I already can't wait for that one.
Great stuff as always, Zach. Certainly appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week. Top games of the weekend. You see it right there. Trinity and Male right there. Kentucky matchup Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Also Sarah against Narbonne.